Welcome to a special presentation of Sellout Crowd, Conversations with Coach. I'm Bob Stoops. I'm taking time to talk with friends and colleagues in the sports world to get caught up and share stories. Today I'm joined by not just a coach and a colleague, but a brother. My brother Mark Stoops in his 11th year at Kentucky, taking on Florida, the Florida Gators here this week. Mark, the all-time winningest coach in the University of Kentucky's history. He's got several, 10-win seasons, had 4 straight bowl wins, I think, until last year or a year or two ago, Mark. But appreciate you taking the time in a busy week to join me.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. It was good. Yeah, that's right. I had 4 straight bowl wins going until your alma mater beat me last year. So the Hawkeyes beat me today.
Yeah, your alma mater.
Yeah, that's right. We had to play each other back-to-back bowls. So
right.
I got them one year, and they got us last year. So.
And you were without your quarterback though as well. That makes a difference. But Mark, the youngest brother of 4 brothers, but 6 children. Special to have you, Mark. Proud of all your success. Right off the bat, since we're talking family, how's our brother Mike doing with you, coaching the linebackers?
Yeah, Mike is doing great. He loves it here. He's doing wonderful. I love having him. He brings a wealth of experience, and I think he's really enjoying it. So it's been really nice having him on the staff the past 2 years.
Okay, hey, you have to appreciate I had my first Stoops game day bus experience last week, traveling with the whole Stoops gang, about 30 of us, going to the Cincinnati game. So you know how much fun that can be.
I have been on that excursion, many years ago. I can remember your first couple years there at Oklahoma and going to bowl games and the national championship games, and we would have an entourage of people on the bus. So I've been a part of that debauchery before, and I'm sure it was a great time. I guess everybody made it, right? All the nieces and nephews and
we had a big crowd. It was great.
Yeah.
Listen, let's go back to your early starts. Mark also, along with Mike and I, played safety at Iowa, and then was a graduate assistant. Got into high school athletic director, then went back to coaching. Talk about your early influences, Mark, and how that road was for you, and and obviously in your 11th season as a head coach in the SEC. Talk about that journey a little bit.
Yeah, I think all of us, the brothers, we all can basically share the same story about where, how we grew up. That's well documented, of course, with Dad and the influence that he had. And then you and I and Mike had the opportunity to play for Hayden and just how fortunate we were to play under and get our coaching start under a Hall of Famer like that.
And Bill Brazier.
And Bill Brazier, exactly, as our coordinator. But, it's interesting as I talk to the players a lot in this world that we're in now with name, image, and likeness, and just the way that things are evolving so quickly. And I sit there and tell them, like I sit here in this big office, like it happened overnight. The first job I had was with one of your old colleagues, with Jim Levitt. And Jim was a great coach, but he was a grinder. And I sat there and gave up that opportunity. I was an athletic director and working in high school, but I just missed college football so bad. So I went and worked with Coach Levitt there at the University of South Florida. That's when we just opened the doors. I mean, it was a brand new program.
You didn't even play a game that year.
We didn't even play a game. Matter of fact, you were at Florida as the defensive coordinator, but I go to South Florida and I tell these players, I worked for $12,000 a year. And I lived in a dorm. My roommate was Eric Wolford, and that's not, I say that with love. But Eric was my roommate. We made $12,000 a year. We worked around the clock for Jim Levitt, but it was one of the greatest years of my life. I went up to Florida because we weren't playing games and watched and learned from you so much, and had that opportunity. And that was my start in college football, and I loved that year at South Florida. And then it was a quick year. Then I left and went to Wyoming, and I hit it big when I went to Wyoming. Was the DB coach at Wyoming for Dana Dimmel, and I
Yep.
really loved that as well. It was such a unique place to live, and just learned so much, and carried that year of knowledge from being at South Florida and learning from you, and doing my own thing at Wyoming and coaching that secondary. As a matter of fact, we had a very talented group, and just it went on from there, and years later, also blessed to spend the time that I did with Mike, and learned a lot from him when he was the head coach at the University of Arizona. I spent 6 seasons there. We had a great time, a great experience, and really did a lot. A lot of the things we're doing here at Kentucky, we were doing there, and Mike
Right.
we were so close. Matter of fact, one of my regrets is always when I worked for Mike, we were about one or two plays away, really one play. I was the defense coordinator. I had two opportunities to stop Oregon. We win that game, and Arizona's in the Rose Bowl. And never in the history of their university have they ever been in the Rose Bowl. So that was, some great memories, but also, just like all coaches, some bad scars here and there as well.
Yep. The scars always hurt, no doubt, but
Yeah,
that's okay. That's
yeah,
part of doing it. But
yeah,
jump forward too from Wyoming and what you're with the Miami Hurricanes.
yeah,
And I want to say 2001, you win the national championship with
yeah,
Larry Coker, the
yeah,
wonderful guy who we both really enjoyed. And
yeah,
talk about the secondary you coached in
yeah.
2001, the national champs, as you were the secondary coach.
Well, if you remember during those years, which I know you do, we were always waiting, to play each other, kind of to meet in the national championship game.
Right.
Because if I'm not mistaken, well, you won it in 2000. We won it in 2001, and then you played in it in 2002 and three, and we just missed it. So it was like each year, Miami and Oklahoma darn near played each other in the national championship game, and we would have competed each other on a national stage, which would have been bittersweet and would have been a lot of fun. But we always missed out on that. We were always very close.
Yeah.
But
Well,
that secondary I had was one of the all-time greats. I want to say I had 6 first-round draft picks. In one of our secondary pitchers, there were 6 first-round draft picks. And the leader of the pack, obviously, is Ed Reed, the first ballot Hall of Famer, with Ed and Philip Buchanan, Mike Rumpf, and so many others. That was our secondary. And then they were backed up by Sean Taylor, Kelly Jennings, and Antrell Roll, 3 future first rounders. So,
you mean to
and
tell me Sean Taylor was a backup?
for 1 year, 1 year, he only spent 5 semesters in college, and he would have gave Ed a run for his money as far as the greatest of all time safety. And and Sean was an amazing talent. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Coaching Ed and those guys was remarkable. That was the year we won the national championship, because they were really pissed off that they didn't get to play it the year before, the year you won it. You know what I mean?
In
They lost one
2000.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost one game that was really close. So the year I went in, they were very motivated, and it was an easy group to coach because Ed was the leader of the pack, and he was the alpha, and led that group, and it was remarkable. Truly one of the greatest secondaries I think they ever played college football. And then the next year, when the top 4 or 5 guys left, and then we replaced them with all these great talent. And I remember somebody asking me, how's that secondary going to be? Basically, we did. It was James Lewis and Marquise Fitzgerald. The top 5 guys left. And I said, we'll be fine. We'll be just as good, if not better. And they all thought, oh, this is some young punk, some young cocky guy just saying that. But they didn't realize we had the whole D line back. That helps at Miami at the time. They were dominant up front. And had 3 future first rounders coming in to replace them. And we were just as good that next year. But when
Sure.
I really wanted to get those guys mad, I would just tell Sean Taylor and Antrell and Kelly or any of those guys, I'm like, well, wait a minute here. All right, give me a minute. Put on last year's tape, and I'm going to show you how it's really supposed to be done. And those guys didn't like that at all. They used to get really pissed because they wanted to watch themselves on film.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Now, Fast forward now to head coach at Kentucky in your 11th year. Talk about the first couple of years and where the program is now and some of the big changes that have happened. That's a big time, 11
Yeah.
years. So talk about your growth there
Yeah.
at Kentucky.
Yeah. It's really hard to put into words, the growth both I made and the program. Just you know how it is. I mean, you could be, well prepared for sitting in the chair and being the head coach, but there's so many things that come at you, and you need so much support. I know you always said that, and it was, one of the reasons for your success was the continuity from the top down. And I've had that same support. I've had the same president and the same athletic director, and myself. We've
Right.
all been here for 11 years, and that does mean a lot. But they've also invested quite a bit, both in myself and our staff, and in the facilities and the things that are needed, anymore in this arms race, if you will, and what you're doing with the facilities and just the investment of people. I've had great support, and when I say that, it's not just a cliche that I said it day one. It takes all of us, but it's so true. I know from playing in your stadium, in playing you guys there, those fans, that passion, that energy,
Yeah.
that commitment, that makes a difference. The tradition that you all have. Unfortunately, we didn't have that tradition. We're building it, but we have a passionate fan base. They've been very supportive. I think it's been a great marriage, if you will, between myself and this state. I think I just, where we grew up, Youngstown, blue collar, just hardworking people, one of the guys, in the community. And I put my roots down here, and it's now my home. And in coaching, as you know, we have to bounce around. You were so blessed and chose to
Yep.
stay there for so long. And I've done the same thing here. I feel like this place fits. It fits me. I'm committed to them. I'm committed to this university, to the state. They've been very supportive to me. So it's been a wonderful situation, and we continue to want more. We continue to want to compete for championships, but that's not easy. And we'll just stay the course and continue to invest and continue to grind, and eventually we will get there.
There's a lot to say, just what you said about where you fit, and you fit well. The
Yeah,
grass isn't always greener somewhere else. When you find the right fit, it's just hard to beat. And you've made it a great place, and you're building a program. You continue to build it.
yeah,
You talked about your passionate fan base. Are they going to be able to? I heard your remark earlier in the week. They going to be able to get up for a noon?
yeah, yeah,
Listen, we got to do it here at 11 a.m. kickoffs, and
yeah.
our crew will rise up to the occasion. You got a big game with the Gators. The fans going to be able to rise up and do it.
This is true. I've seen your atmosphere at 11 a.m. in your stadium. I mean, we have an extra hour here. And so when I was asked that in the press conference, I didn't miss a beat because it's the truth, man. I know our crew's going to be ready to go. It took us a long time. When I got here, we hadn't beat Florida in 31 years. And you were a part of a lot of those, with you and your buddy, Coach Spurrier. And so I had to live with that for a long time. We finally got over that hump. But, our fan base always remembers that. So the noon kickoff, absolutely no problem. Our crew will be up. They'll be pounding some beers. They'll be drinking some bourbon, and they'll be ready to rock and roll, I can promise you.
Yeah, in Kentucky, it isn't just beer. There's some bourbon involved. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think, and I believe you've won the game. This game 3 of the last 4 years, I believe, right?
3 of the last 5, I think it is. If
3 of the last
somebody told
5.
me that today, yeah. But
Yeah,
as you
all
know,
that matters is this one.
exactly. Yeah.
Talk about just a few keys with Florida coming to town.
Yeah.
They really played well in their last game, beat Tennessee in a really sound way.
Yeah.
Just talk about some keys to this game for you guys, Mark.
Yeah, I think the first thing is with Coach Napier, with Billy, they're a lot like us, and they want to really be physical and run the ball, and we do as well. And we've been inconsistent at times on our side, with being as physical as we like to be, to set up the play action. They're the same way. Florida's committed to running the football. A lot of what they do and all the play action and explosive plays are set up about by being physical, and then you see the creativity in the playmakers and getting those guys the ball down the field. And I think that'll be a key on both sides. Who can keep the balance? Who can be successful in the run game to help set up some explosive plays. Both defenses are playing very, very good. Florida's been dominant. They're statistically leading the SEC and one of the top in the country. In I think they're 2.8 or 2.9 yards per attempt on the rush game. So they've been limiting rushing opportunities, and they've been very creative in mixing up their defense with different simulated pressures and all that. So they're coming from all different angles. They love attacking and doing different, just like you'd expect Florida to be. So they've been very good on both sides, and we've been pretty strong defensively as well. I think for us, we need to be consistent. We are averaging a lot of yards per play. The key is staying on the field. We're shooting ourselves in the foot with certain drives and sloppy play, whether it be a penalty, a turnover, or certain things that are killing drives. The games, when you're pro style and with the new clock rules, the game's going relatively quick. You cannot squander opportunities. You and I talked off camera, a week ago about, us and how we're doing, and just in not accepting the fumbles and the sloppy play and the penalties and things of that nature. We've got to clean that up.
You got to play clean. Yeah. Penalties ruin drives, drop passes ruin, or you're sure to punt. Turnovers, of course, immediately turn the ball over. All those things, if you don't play clean, you're going to be punting the football, and you can't do it too much. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big week, Mark. I appreciate you taking the time with me. And I'm a media mogul now. How about I'm part of the media now?
I love it. You get to do it right from your home there. I recognize the pictures in the background right there. So good for you.
You're in there somewhere, I'm sure. You're my first guest at my bar at home. I appreciate the time, and best of luck here this week. Go get Florida, and tell Mike I said hello.
I will. Thanks a bunch. It was a pleasure being on. Much success to you guys. Take care.
That wraps up this installment of Conversations with Coach. Follow and subscribe to this channel and visit selloutcrowd.com to find out about upcoming programs.